Get closer.
Really?
Welcome to Living Free in Tennessee, where we talk about building the life you choose on your terms. Today is Friday, March 15th, 2024, and this is episode 891 of Living Free in Tennessee. I almost said 890. That would have
Okay.
been a crying shame, but I've been wrong on show numbers before, haven't I?
Yeah, a
Yeah.
couple of times.
Yeah. There was one time where it was like any number goes. I wish you could be closer. You just running into
There's not like
it's a space bubble issue. So like he doesn't care how he looks on
there's
video.
also like I could start kicking stuff out from under your desk.
Okay. Okay. Studio drama once again. Studio drama. Anyway, today we're going to talk about things catching on fire on the homestead, a surprise home invasion, and the rabbit ear mite update, as well as a bunch of other stuff. Before we do that, though, I want to talk about our featured event of today's show. And tomorrow, here at the Holler Homestead at 1 p.m. to 3 p.m., we're doing a potluck meetup under Taj Mahal. It's going to be 65 degrees and sunny tomorrow.
Hopefully.
So the weather's perfect for it. I had said when I set up the event, like if it's super cold, we'll move it inside or something. But we don't have to. We're going to be under Taj Mahal. It's going to be a beautiful spring day. You can see how behind I am on getting the hillside garden trimmed back, but at least I have my one swale done.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm doing things a little bit at a time. So you can come out, check stuff out, and we have a bunch of seeds to share with people. Bring seeds if you have some. You don't have to bring seeds. Bring a dish to share if you want to. If you want to find out more about that, go to livingfreeintennessee.com, and on the right-hand area, so if you're on a cell phone, you have to like scroll past the first couple posts. It has the events calendar. It has the seed exchange event. You click on that. It has like the address and all of those things. Don't need an RSVP. If nobody shows up, then Tactical and the Holler neighbors and I are going to have some awesome meatballs and whatever else we've made to share with people. And it'll be a Holler dinner instead. But I know that somebody's coming from Linden.
Yeah.
So at least we'll have that visitor. Anyway, that's over there at livingfreeintennessee.com. I also want to thank our two sponsors of today's show. The first one is Senior Chief Electric. Senior Chief Electric knows how to build quality into everything that they do and is one of the only electricians that I will trust working on my stuff now. Like I'd trust Miles.
Yeah,
But like random electrician off the street, nope, because I've seen what they do wiring wise because I've had Senior Chief Electric fix it. So check out Senior Chief Electric. The link is in the show notes and you can check it out. It's to his Facebook page. If you're going to book him though, he's booked way out. So like while he does work emergency visits into his schedule as best he can, if you know you have a project coming, talk to him sooner rather than later. I also want to highlight that today we are getting awful close to a special time. Do you know what that time is, Tactical?
no.
You don't?
I mean, there's.
So Sunday is, you know what Sunday is?
It's Sunday.
It's the 17th of March. What's the 17th of March? You don't know? It's St. Patrick's Day. What do we do on St. Patrick's Day?
Let the ducks out and feed the sheep.
So
the same thing I do every day.
Some people celebrate St. Patrick's Day by going to the bar and drinking green beer.
Okay. Even when I drank, I did not drink green beer.
Okay. So if you want to do something different for yourself this St. Patrick's Day, why not sign up for a free webinar that is focused on tangible solutions, ways that you can improve your life? It's the Self-Reliance Voices webinar, Learning from Legends. It starts March 17th at 7 p.m. If you want to drink a green beer while you're watching it, I'm not going to judge. I know I'm not going to have a green beer because I would totally just have a green bourbon if I was going to do that. Oh, and the electricity blipped, so our internet may have done something funny. Anyway, why not join us? selfreliancefestival.com/webinar to sign up. It's free. It's 5 days, 1 hour a day, 7 p.m. Central, and we have great MCs. I've got Toolman Tim joining me. I've got Spags from Spags Unfiltered. I've got Sean Mills from Hack My Homestead. I've got, who else do I have? Oh, yeah, I got Chuck Peoples from Homestead Medical. So we're going to be emceeing it. We're going to be watching sessions from Joel Salatin, John Willis, myself, Porterhouse is going to be on, and CJ Kilmer. It's going to be a great lineup. Go check that out at selfreliancefestival.com/webinar. There will be giveaways. There will be coupon codes for things if you want to buy stuff, but you don't have to buy stuff. And I promise you that while I am going to put the opportunities out there, I'm not going to use car salesman you, because that is just not my style. So that is our second sponsor of today's show. With that, it's time for our first segment, which is listener feedback. Hello, Red Fire Media, by the way, and Facebook user, whoever you are, and Martinson family, and Janet. Good. Welcome to the live stream. I actually didn't put out on social that we were going live, so if anybody wants to, you can. We had one of those mornings where lots of stuff happened in the hour between my 8 a.m. meeting with Letty is done, and we usually do show notes and stuff, and then like somebody arrived and we had to do something top secret.
Yeah.
Did you taste it?
Yes.
Did you like it?
It's different.
Like, it's not like espresso.
Not in a bad way different. It's just, it's different.
So we did something top secret. Did you like it?
Yeah.
Okay,
I mean, it's
cool.
good.
Cool. So it's passed. So you'll know more about that as things develop on the top secret mission that we accomplished this morning. And then I got a call from somebody about a community member that I wanted to find out more about because I hadn't heard from them in a while. And so had that conversation, and now here we are, and the social post didn't go out. So if anybody listening to this wants to just let our networks know that we're live, that'd be great. And of course, if you have questions, just put them in all caps. Okay. I got a bunch of listener feedback this week. If you want to send me listener feedback and you are not sure how to do that, do it via email. Nicole@livingfreeintennessee.com is the best way to do that. And you can also go to livingfreeintennessee.com and click on the contact form, and those messages go to me. And then I can, integrate them into the show, which is what I did this week. So the first one comes from Andy. And Andy says, I just listened to your podcast talking about your troubles with the dishwasher and oven. I've had troubles with my dishwasher and oven. Don't have any words of wisdom for the dishwasher, but the oven. If the igniter is glowing and the gas is not coming on, the issue could be the igniter. So when the igniter is glowing, that means it's coming on. If it's glowing more of a red orange than a white orange, it might be cracked or just not getting enough, not hot enough for the controller to bring on the gas. I don't know if there's a way to diagnose it other than just looking at the color or replacing it, but had that issue a number of years ago on my parents' oven, and replacing the igniter fixed it. So thank you, Andy, for that. I will check that out. It's definitely glowing orange. I don't know if it's a red orange or white orange. The oven has worked, but it is taking too long to light. So I'm going to totally check that out because I imagine an igniter is not $200.
Yeah.
So it's probably worth changing out on spec.
Probably.
Yeah. So thank you for that tip. I did not trash my oven and get a new one, but over the weekend I got PO'd at the dishwasher situation. The dishwasher, the GE dishwasher that had a computer in it that used to be here, is now at a dumpster. I salvaged hoses that I can reuse. And I've got the backup dishwasher, which goes in my outdoor kitchen, which I paid $50 for on Facebook Marketplace, is now in my kitchen, and it's too tall to go under the counter. So it's like sticking out a little bit because I couldn't slide it all the way under there. But my dishes are getting cleaner than the GE ever got my dishes. You know why?
Because it's old and they're not trying to conserve water and make you run your dishwasher 15 times.
Yeah, so this one's completely manual. Like the dial is on a timer and you hear it go ticka, 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 ticka. And it's just all of it's manual, even though it has buttons, and it uses water. So the only issue I have with it right now is the dial thing has some areas that don't work right, which is probably a part we can switch out pretty easy. Yeah. So right now I'm just leaving that in place. My staff at LFTN is not stoked about being down the dishwasher. I've got my eye on a commercial dishwasher actually, but I need to learn more about water pressure and commercial dishwashers because I don't have a lot of water pressure in the country. But if it is possible for me to buy a decent used commercial dishwasher, and I see one up for $1,000 that is what's the brand of dishwasher that everybody buys? Hobart. And it's an under-counter Hobart, so it's not like the big one.
Yeah.
I might get my hands on that, and then dishes will just be a matter of for 90 seconds and done. So that is a direction I've wanted to go for a long time, but it's a bitter pill to invest like $1,000 into a dishwasher, and then of course you have to buy all the commercial soaps and stuff for it. So and if it breaks, like at least they're repairable, but I think the Hobart does have a computer, so I wanted to learn more about it before making that decision. That's actually what John Willis does, is he just has a commercial dishwasher.
Yeah.
Which is way easier. So Red Flyer Media says, my dishwasher is somewhat broke, dropped a big branch on my thumb. Thumbs seem to be important when hand washing dishes. I get it. I get what you're saying there, Red Flyer Media. Yeah. $1,000 is a killer deal for that Hobart, for sure. The second feedback I have is from somebody whose name is, well, probably unique enough that, and I don't have permission to say his or her name, that I'm just calling the person D. But like, if you don't tell me I can say your name on the internet, I don't say anything that will, out you as a listener of my podcast. Not that that's a bad thing, because like then you just tap into the community. But this is D. This is somebody who is not from the United States. So I'm listening to a new episode. So this is my pantry porn. So you guys remember I was asking for pictures of pantries. Please get those to me by the end of this weekend if you're going to send any. It's so bad. You know those crates for traveling with cats on a plane? Well, when you unscrew them, they take about 12 mason jars each. So this person has sent me a picture of jars in cat crates, basically, that are in half, like clamshell open. They fit under the couch. Lovely. So the other thing we do when we start storing food is running out of places to store food. Yeah. So that's, and then many people who are not in the United States, particularly if they're in Europe, have more spatial constraints than the typical giant American house. I use screw top bottles. I'm not in the States to use lovely ball jars, but I'm able to safely and efficiently pressure can with the canner I ordered in. These jars are pint or pint and a little bit more. And then the other photos about managing stock. It's not 100% effective, but it does work. I got a template from somewhere and adapted it. And what this person sent was 8.5 by 11. It's probably an A4 actually, but a piece of paper, and it has lines where you can write what it is, and then it has pictures of jars. And she or he put a slash through each jar if they had canned that many jars of that things like tomatoes, and then X's when they use it. So just a really super simple way to manage inventory. So this is my inventory for what, it's a woman. For what my husband and I use a year. I started in July last year, and I recorded what I still had. This year will be my second season using a pressure canner, so the volumes I can do at a time is much higher than 4 jars at a time. Woohoo! Anyway, I hope it may be useful. The pictures are horrible, like a good pantry should be. And I will say this, like, the pictures are of the pantry as it is, and that means that, like, not all of the cat carriers are full because jars have been taken out. And she has towels over the top of them to keep them in the dark, so that doesn't look as tidy as like a wall of jars in a root cellar. But that's reality, man. So I really appreciate that. And I thought it was a pretty cool email to get. And I didn't realize, like, I knew that in the European style of canning jar is different than our style. I didn't realize that that more people are working towards getting more of our style of canning out there. Canning's not as big of a thing, I don't think, in Europe as it is here. Anyway.
That's surprising.
I know. Well, you would think, but
we'll see how it originated out of France.
Well, so the picture she sent me was jars that commercial food had come in that had been then adjusted for canning.
Yeah.
With lids. And that's what my grandparents did. Like, I remember in the 70s and 80s, they had jars that they canned in that they put lids on that were not ball jars, which is totally like if you follow USDA guidelines, excuse me while I wiggle, not approved. But people did that for a long time because it was the jars they had.
Yeah.
And that's just, it's interesting to see that wave is still happening in Europe. You looked like you were about to say something. That's why that uncomfortable silence just happened.
I'm just in redneck brain. I'm just thinking about the fact that most of the jars that come with some form of canned thing are going to use one, 2, or 3 sized threads, and it's going to be a standardized thing. So I can almost guarantee you, if you figure out what size those threads are, you can go on Amazon and somebody probably makes canning lids for that size thread. I can almost guarantee it.
Yeah, it could be. All right, it's time for our first segment of today's show. Tactical has a sore back or knee, or both.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sore everything.
Okay. That's why you should be doing Pilates with me.
Okay.
He's not buying it. So I said last week I was looking forward to the wild mustard blooming, and it bloomed. So there are now wild mustard flowers all over the place, except for not in the holler. You know why?
Because we're still a little cooler here?
No, we don't have any here. Yeah. There is no wild. There used to be some wild mustard on my property, but it is gone, and it was in the lawn. And I think it's gone because the lawn got eaten by sheep and mowed over time. So eventually I will source wild mustard seed and scatter it places that are not the lawn where I think it might grow. If you go up the top of the hill, though, there's ditch mustard for sure.
Yeah.
And I love eating mustard flowers in like fresh salads. It tastes a lot like broccoli. It's like a light broccoli flavor. So far I haven't stopped and just done roadside foraging, but I probably will at some point when I see a meadow of it or something. The watercress is still not back from being beat back from the flooding, and pretty much the same greens that I talked about last week are this week. And he doesn't notice when I build them into our food. So did you notice?
No.
Yeah. See, did you like that saute the other day?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I mean, when I say I don't notice, it's like,
unless I tell him, he's like,
there's clearly something in here that's not like,
Swiss chard,
onion or pepper or lettuce or cabbage. There's something else in here. What it is, I really don't care because it tastes good, so I eat it. Like, what it is less concerning to me.
Yeah, I went on a whole walkabout to get violet leaves.
Okay.
Yeah, that was it. And I was like, I'm going to fit this in today, because it was one of those days where I'm like, I'm going to do this. It was last Friday. And I was like, all the time in the world. And then I'm probably chasing sheep on Friday. I don't even know. That's probably the day where we were leashing sheep, actually. Probably. And yeah, so it was like, oh, the sun is setting. I got to find some violets real quick, which is typical of me. And I've been hitting the woods, and the stinging nettle this year is particularly robust. So I'm probably going to forage a second round of stinging nettle and dry it, because I have found in years when a plant is very robust that often in the winter I really could use that plant more. So right before COVID, it was the mullein year. So I'm interested to see what the stinging nettle year brings.
There is some mullein coming up.
Yeah, but it's not like the year 2019 was the mullein year for sure.
Yeah.
Okay, next up we have livestock. And last week I talked to you about the really bad mite infestation, and the rabbit had like a half inch of scabby stuff in her ears, which is why I was super worried. So I decided to go with ivermectin, and I dosed all the rabbits because one of them had signs of some beginning mites. I figured they live next to each other. If one has a bad infestation, everybody has some. And so they all got ivermectin last Friday. And I was hoping it would be like when I give flea medication to an animal that has fleas, is like instantly better, but it wasn't. Like I watched her, and everybody says, like, if there's crusty stuff in their ears, don't clean it. Let it naturally fall off, because if you open a sore, that opens up an avenue for infections. And apparently rabbits are very prone to getting infections in wounds. So I checked on her yesterday, and she's a totally different rabbit 7
She
days later.
looks a lot better.
Like, she's clearly happier. The infestation is gone. I'm going to dose them again, and we're going to move them into a different housing situation. So, which will be better for keeping mites down. But definitely it was worth I don't even know how much I spent on the ivermectin. I don't know how much I spent on it, because Nighthawk picked it up for me on his way home from work, and I haven't paid him yet. So that's why I don't know. Also, I owe Nighthawk money. So somebody reached out to me because I had a really old tube of ivermectin from, 10 years ago or something. And they're like, you just use more of it when it's like that. I'm like, no, I was not going to mess this up, because the rabbit's ears looked really, really bad. So yeah, Skane's girl said that's true, which is why you shouldn't pick at scabs and pop blisters in rabbits. Like, don't do that. Like dogs and cats, you kind of want to keep wounds draining, but not so much the rabbits. So that was good to know. Okay, I had a home invasion. I told him about it yesterday.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it was 3 a.m. 2 days ago. I heard noises, and some of the noises were very disturbing. So I yelled, and then I finally got up to go investigate what the heck was going on. And what I thought was going on was that my cat Dixie and my cat Mortimer were at a standoff at the food dish. So I walk up to the food dish, because the noises I heard were like, like the long ones. And usually when my cats fight, there's like a short runna, and then it's done. And I walk into the mudroom, and I see a gray butt and a foot of the animal sticking out the door, and the foot is white. And I'm like, Tigger, did you get into some ashes? Like, I don't have a gray cat. Mortimer, my black cat, does not have a white foot. And there's a big conversation happening about the cat door. So I walked into the room, and that scared the gray cat enough that it hightailed it out of there. And what was happening is that Mortimer was pissed off because Gray Cat came in and found the cat bowl and ate, and probably tried to eat cat food. And there was a big dust up. So apparently there's another cat in the neighborhood. Apparently. And one that knows enough about cat doors to come into my house and eat food from the cat dish in the middle of the night, which means it's probably pretty hungry too.
Yeah.
So I haven't actually seen this cat except for its butt and its foot, but I know it's out there somewhere, and the dogs have been barking at stuff in the woods. So that was my home invasion. So when I told him about it, he was like, what? And I was like, oh, and he was like, oh, okay. It wasn't a person. Also, my dog Chestnut kept getting up because she was like, she knew something wasn't right, but she wasn't going to bark at the cat. She'll bark at people. Well, and so I kept hearing restless Chestnut noises. I'm like, do you need to go out? She's like, no. But, in her dog language that I didn't understand, she's like, but there's a cat here that doesn't usually come in here.
Chestnut also got trained that you don't murder the cats.
Yeah, because she murdered a cat once. Yeah, Pack Rat says possums will figure it out too. Possums will never get near my doors because of his dog.
Pretty much.
Speaking of which, there's a possum cake in the yard that needs to go somewhere. Yes. Yeah, there's a possum that got run over by somebody. It's flat. And I'm like, man, it smells bad. It'd be really good not to have that in the yard. So anyway, life in the country, guys. Life in the country. So the other thing we did is the Rams kept getting out next door. So we moved them over here. Timmy has gone to the processor. And I probably will be picking Timmy up, or you will be picking Timmy up next week. That would be my guess. So he went Tuesday, so it'll probably be next Tuesday or Wednesday that we get the call because they hang him for 7 days. But we also moved a younger ram that was born about 6 months ago with Timmy because you don't want animals alone. And so when Timmy left, like that dude who I'm now calling Noble, he was pretty upset.
The protesting that came out.
Yeah, and he was like, "I will get out of this hard fencing, and there's nothing you mofo's can do about it to stop me." That's pretty much what was happening, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he belly crawled through the duck door.
I don't think he actually fit through it. I think that he definitely tried.
Yeah.
Like the amount of damage that he did to that fence was actually kind of impressive.
Yeah, he wanted out. So we decided to move his mother, Brunhilde, over here. And then also Cloudy, who is offspring of Amy or Allie.
I think it was Amy.
Yeah. So, which is a Katahdin. So
no, it was Amy because that was the first
one.
That
was the first one we ever had. Because we're like, well, if we move 2 females over with this male, when he goes to the processor in May, we'll still have 2 sheep here, and we don't have to do this thing where we move yet another animal over. So we headed over to the sheep pasture, and we could not cast. It's like Brunhilde knew. Like usually she walks up to me, I pet on her, whatever. She was like, "You are not touching me, you terrible human, you."
Yeah, she's kind of out of the ewes. She's kind of the dominant, like head of the pack.
Yeah. So he caught Cloudy, and then we put Cloudy on a leash. And Cloudy hasn't been handled a lot, and she also has never been on a leash. So we then moved her like 1/10 of a mile or 2/10 of a mile or however far it is on a leash, which required me being with the leash behind her, pushing her butt a lot of the way.
Yeah.
And then there was one section where she ran, so I ran with her because I was like, woohoo, I'm not pushing this. Because she was like, feet at a 45-degree angle. I am not moving forward for most of the way over.
Yeah, imagine a 3-year-old throwing a temper tantrum in the middle of Toys R Us.
Yeah, that's what she did. And then as soon as I got to where she could see Noble, she was like, "Oh, I like you." And then she ran to Noble. So it was all about like not wanting to leave, and then like what in the world's going. Like for sheep, you can understand. Like they're like, "I don't know where you're taking me, and I don't like new things, and I don't like change," and that's kind of mentally where they're at. And then she had not been trained on a leash, so like, Timmy had been trained on a leash by the time we moved him.
Yeah.
So, like my goat is trained on a leash. I actually kind of wish we had trained all of the sheep on a leash, but I don't know how we're gonna get that done. So that's not on the to-do list. Yeah. But new ones, we need to be way more aggressive about getting our hands on babies this time.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So they're now there together, and I still need to get one more female over here.
Yep.
So we'll see how that goes. I'm hoping we can retrain Noble on electric and start rotating him. So we'll see how that goes. He's skeptical about that. So yeah. Mona says, "Is this not posted on Telegram, Mona?" I'm sorry. I know. I always get all the announcements out except for some stuff like 100% derailed me this morning. And I asked folks to please post on social that we're live because Time Nazi Nicole was like, "Oh, it's time to start." And I haven't gotten the social posts out, but I got interrupted twice before the show. So sorry about that. Toddler and Toys R Us. I felt that. Yeah. Moving sheep. We are still on lamb watch, and there might be babies now because we haven't looked at this morning, but still no babies.
Still no babies.
Just enormous mother sheep.
And it's like
with like full on all the udders, like the milk is there. No babies. But it's gonna be really cold Sunday, so
yeah. It's like I watched Amy run down the hill last night, and it was like her back end. Yeah, that's exactly what it was like. It's like her legs didn't really move. It's like she was, the pirate with 2 peg legs. And it's like, come on.
Let them out. Let them out. Let them out. Eggapalooza is on. Yesterday, I went to get eggs at 11. And I walked down to the duck coop, and all I heard was some crazy volumes of duck complaining. What time do you let the ducks out?
9:30.
Did you let them out yesterday?
No.
Why not?
I don't remember what happened, but something happened yesterday morning, and it was like that part of my day was just gone.
Yeah. Yeah. So apparently he went into the time warp that sometimes happen when you're about to go do something and something interrupts you that's urgent, and then you think you did the thing, but you didn't really do the thing.
Yeah.
That's what happened. So it's good that I checked eggs at 11 because they may have been locked in all day long had we not.
Yeah.
Yeah. They were pretty grumpy about it, but I got a really good number of duck eggs. Although there's one duck that's laying by the shore of the pond, one a day right now.
Yeah.
Currently, there are 2 days down there because I didn't go down and pick them up yet. So
Yeah, there was 10 in there this morning.
yeah, so that's good. And did you collect them?
No.
Okay. Is your dog out?
No.
Okay, good. If we don't collect them and his dog is out, she starts bringing them to us with holes in them.
Yeah, she knows she's not supposed to go in there, but at the same time, it's a dog and there's eggs.
Yeah. Well, you could train the dog not to like eggs by making electric eggs. Like we had that talk the other day.
I would prefer. She already got zapped by an electric fence, and it took me.
Yeah,
like
we're not going to do
3
it.
days.
It's like the deal is just. It's actually kind of handy when his dog finds eggs that are not in the coop because they're like, okay, where is it, Sonny? Where is it?
Yeah.
And then there'll be like a clutch of eggs under a stump or something. So anyway, now let's talk about. So yesterday I had a 5:30 team meeting with SRF staff, and at 5:28 he comes like charging into the house, clearly agitated. Why were you agitated?
Oh, because I had just gotten engulfed in a wall of fire.
Something's on fire. Hey, show them your beard. Like, get close to the camera so they no. Take your hands out. Like, show. Do you notice how his beard's a little flat right there?
Yeah.
So he was using the weed torch, and a cloud of fire came at him, and he has singed his eyebrow here. His mustache is like flat, and his beard is a weird shape, and he even got his hair. But luckily, he was wearing cotton, so he didn't melt his clothes to himself.
Yeah.
And his arms are less hairy than they used to be.
Oh yeah. I mean, I had my hands at my waist, and you could see a definitive line where like up to my sleeve line the hair was singed, and like on the palm of my left hand all the hair was gone. So literally it was at least from my waist to over my head.
Yeah, so the only thing that saved him is he was not wearing a bunch of hairspray like Michael Jackson was. So he didn't actually catch on fire, but he singed, and that freaked us out. I don't know what we're doing about that weed torch now.
Well, I mean, I still have not, I don't think I'll ever figure out exactly what happened with it, but I mean, fortunately I did everything the way that I should have, and I was doing this over a patch of bare dirt. So when I hit the lever to crank the heat up and it just wall of fire, I let off and just dropped the weed torch in a safe direction. So it wasn't like, pointed at one of my four-wheeler towards one of the posts of Taj Mahal or something. So it was just laying on bare dirt, not pointed at anything. Backed off, made sure I wasn't actually on fire, and then cut the propane off at the tank.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, that part of it worked out pretty well.
Yeah. And you'll notice the tank didn't explode because they're designed not to explode.
Yeah, I've actually seen propane tanks cook off in a fire, and it's actually kind of impressive because the relief valve goes and it basically just shoots flames like 30 feet in the air. It's kind of fun to watch.
Yeah, luckily that didn't happen.
Yeah.
That would have gotten my attention for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. Also, screaming would have, but you did not scream.
No.
Yeah. So, anyway, next segment is grow. What are you growing?
Not much of anything right now.
No. How's the longevity spinach going?
It needs to go in some dirt.
Okay. We need to do some potting this weekend. Well, we're
Yeah.
having that event tomorrow.
Yeah.
So that might be a good time to play with dirt at the same time. My seeds that I started germinated, and that's kind of cool because we talk, like, you can't let the lack of something stop you from action if you've decided to do something. So you either figure out how to get that thing or you figure out how to work around it. And one of the things that was slowing me down on starting seeds was that I couldn't find my seeds because of the stuff. Like, a lot of the stuff for my house is still packed. And apparently my seeds are still packed that I saved last year. So I got the seeds I could find out, and I got seeds that I had saved in 2021, which was a number of years ago. And I was like, I'm going to use these seeds. And if they don't germinate, like, I'll know in a week. And hopefully by then I found the other seeds and I can try again. But I'm not going to let it stop me to get started. And they all germinated. The only one I've had a germination issue with is a brand new packet of seeds from Baker Creek for Swiss chard, which Swiss chard in general is a trickier germination, I have found. So I'll probably pre-germinate some more of that Swiss chard to transplant into the places where it did not germinate. But I have a few Swiss chard plants too. So round 2 of seedlings are going to happen this weekend, which is going to be all of my aromatics, all the herbs and stuff that I like to grow. And also the fennel, which is an herb, I guess, but it's also a vegetable. Anyway, that'll happen. It's a little bit behind the usual timeline, but that's okay. I have shade cloth for the garden if I need it. And I will need it this year based on what the garden's doing. I still need to plant the potatoes. That will probably happen this weekend too. And what I'm harvesting off the land right now is I have some arugula that overwintered. I have Swiss chard in the aquaponics system, and I have parsley in the aquaponics system. So those things are coming on strong. The Egyptian walking onions, do you have any?
I have some that are growing. I don't know if I have any seed.
Right. So my Egyptian walking onions kind of went out of phase. But where I had the pots by one of the supports of Taj Mahal are Egyptian walking onions that walked.
Nice.
So I'm going to let those go. But I would like to get more, when yours go to seed, I'd like to put more in the upper garden and just sort of get a patch going. I had some on Hillside Garden. I don't know if they're still there because the wild rose is really wild. I'm also really pleased that my Snowfire rose is putting out growth right now. So my plan with the Snowfire rose, which has been hard to keep alive because of having to constantly transplant the darn thing. If it blooms, I'm gonna pull that, and then I'm going to root that and get another one going so that I have a stronger plant that has not been transplanted 90,000 times, and start to propagate that around the property. I might start selling them if they propagate well, because it's a really cool, pretty rose. He hates roses.
Yeah.
Yesterday, I started murdering fire ants.
I'm good with that.
So I was, let me see where this is. I'll have it in here. I must have it in here. Okay. So we talk about the 15-minute homestead all the time. And with my schedule the way it is with Self-Reliance Festival, I am doing 10 to 15-minute projects at a time, at least once a day, to at least move something forward somewhat. And this is how I've gotten the trees trimmed in the food forest. This is how I got the peas planted. This is how I got the duck litter scattered on the swale. And basically what I do is I'm like, okay, 15-minute project time. And I set a timer and I go work on something for 15 minutes. And when the timer's done, I either can decide I can keep going or I stop. Well, the spreading the duck litter on the swale project, it was like twofold. One, I had to like chop and drop the stuff I didn't want up that was tall, identify which plants I don't want to accidentally cover in duck litter, and then mulch around them with the duck litter. Ultimately, I want wood chips on top of that, but we don't have the wood chips right now. And so the biggest micro swale I have took me 4 days of 15 minutes to get done. But I finished it yesterday, and at the very end was a large fire ant hill, which was I waited for that for the very last because I'm like, nobody likes getting stung by fire ants, first of all. And it's just like, for me, it's when I see something that has a lot of little steps, it becomes overwhelming a little bit. And that was just like one more step to getting done what I needed to get done. So yesterday I was like, okay, self, it's time to deal with the fire ants. You have everything you need to deal with the fire ants. You have a TSP shot glass that measures 2 ounces. You've got orange oil. You've got water, half a gallon water, 2 ounces of that orange oil. And then you rip the top off the anthill and you pour orange oil in there, and it melts their exoskeletons. They don't like that at all. Beats the colony back. If you get the queen, then you get the one who's laying the eggs, which is good.
Yeah.
So my goal was not find the queen and axe the queen. My goal was beat this back because it was a very large colony. And there's a couple large anthills on my property that need to be gotten. So I did about half of the half gallon on one, and then I walked to find any other anthill that I saw. And the first one I saw, I nuked it too, and that was the one that took out my rosemary plant because I'm mad at those guys.
Yeah.
They targeted like the one place I knew I was going to be able to grow rosemary because it stays warmer. Like literally an anthill, like with rosemary sticking out of it, is what happened there. By the way, rosemary does not deter fire ants, for the record.
True story.
So I so I got that done. I mixed up another jar, but the whole swale is done. It took 4 days, so 1 hour of time to get that to the state it's in now. And now I'll move on to the next swale. I'm done with the duck litter though, so I'm gonna need to put rabbit poop on the rest of them.
Still got the chicken coop.
Oh yeah, we could put the chicken litter straight on the swale up here. And that one, the second, the smaller micro swale has a really healthy oregano plant on it, which I'm stoked about.
Yeah.
Because a lot of my oregano on the other one didn't make it. So.
Yeah, I think I'm trying to remember if it was oregano or something else, but I've still got some that looks like it's alive in the rock garden.
Scanes Girl says South Louisiana is just one giant fire ant hill. Yeah.
I would agree with that.
Yeah. What do you do about that in there? Like, are they just in your garden all the time? I had some in my garden yesterday or last year that I didn't know were there till I stepped on them, and that sucked.
I don't know. I used to use borax and some form of sugar. That worked pretty well.
Okay. Yeah, we'll see. I'm just in the process of murdering fire ants to beat them back some. The truth of the matter is, when I go hiking in the woods, I see ant hills up in the woods too. Like they're all over. They were not here until about 4 years ago.
They were all around here, but they didn't make it across like the lake.
Yeah. So
until recently.
My neighbor, when I was on a walk the other day, stopped me and said, "Have you seen that fire ant hill at Pat's place? Because there's like a really big one right at the road." And I was like, "Yeah." And he's like,
"Should probably go murder that one."
"Are those fire ants?" I was like, "Yeah." "What do you do about them?" I said, "Orange oil." He's like, "If you don't mind, I think I'm going to kill that one." And I'm like, "Why would I mind?"
Go for it.
Go for it. I'm sure Pat won't mind. But it was funny because I'm like, yeah, they're all over my property and they're all up in the woods and they're going to hit his house. Apparently he hasn't had them hit his house yet. He's next. Yeah. The first place I found a fire ant hill was at base camp, and it took about a year for it to end up on my property from there. So he's probably getting them this year. So you can't get rid of them down there. They have tunnels everywhere. Argentine ants deter fire ants, but you have to deal with them. So there are no fire ants on this hill. Oh, that's good. But yeah, fire ants are no fun at all. And I'm a little sad that they've migrated this far north. So I don't know, if it gets cold, will they die? Like if we go into our mini ice age, will that kill the fire ants? I wonder. I don't know. Next segment is Holler Neighbors and Community. Got a big boost from the Eversoles. They took on, so I had all the Self-Reliance Festival event supplies in the basement of base camp and bought a bunch of bins, and they inventoried, well, we kind of had an inventory, but they inventoried everything by bin and organized it by booth that it goes in. So like information booth, registration booth, AV stuff, like all of that. And it's all ready to go to Self-Reliance Festival. And that saved me many hours of time. So I'm super stoked about that. And now when people help us tear down the event, we have a sheet of what's supposed to go in each bin.
Yeah.
So that's cool. And then that makes it so people don't have to ask me or Dawn like every single item. Where does this go? Where does this go? That's like not super fun. So now we have a reference. And then we, as I said, we're re-upping the monthly homesteader meetups. Our next one is tomorrow at 1. Next up is infrastructure. Why were you catching yourself on fire yesterday?
Still putting in fence post.
So he takes cedar posts, he strips the bark off, he chars them and puts pine tar on them, and then he uses those from posts. And so that's why he's using the weed flamethrower thingy.
Yeah.
So how's the fencing going?
I am almost done with the core of it. I've got, I think, 2 more posts that need to be tarred, and then I've got a couple that need to get put in. And then the bulk, with the exception of one area, the bulk of the fencing is going to be up, or at least capable of being stretched. So the perimeter fence here is getting really close, and I'm kind of looking forward to that being just done.
Yep. So that's all I've got for infrastructure. You have anything else?
No, I mean, I can tap onto the fact that I've only got, in the pasture, I've only got one more section of hard fence that I'm planning on putting in, and the sheep aren't going back up there anytime soon. So with all of the chaos that was going on the last couple of weeks, having all of that hard fencing that's already over there made setting up the next month and a half's worth of paddocks really easy.
And that's good because we got a farm sitter coming in 3 weeks.
Goal.
Yeah. So other than that, our next segment is finances. So here's the deal. I don't have an update here, but I will say this. We are spending more than the homestead is generating at this time. And part of the reason why is I have pet livestock.
Yeah.
So I have chickens that have aged out. 1 now. I have ducks that probably have aged out, but then again, I'm not sure about that.
Yeah, and that chicken's going to live forever.
She is going to live forever. She's indestructible. She is time itself.
Apparently.
Yeah. And then I have goats that are livestock that are pets. And when you have livestock that are pets and not producing, that starts hitting your finances from a, like, it's a pet now and it's costing you money. So it's important to know that. And we are looking at other ways to make the homestead pay for itself better, because like my goal with the homestead is not that it brings in $60,000 a year. We could make that a goal and figure out how to do it, but I'm focused on Holler Roast Coffee as my primary business, right? And this podcast and all the stuff we do for that. And the homestead is my lifestyle. At the same time, I don't want to be teaching people how to make a homestead and be like indicating that we're making all this profit on our homestead. Guide them down that road and they're like, wait, this doesn't work at all. So if you have the goal of making money on your homestead and making a living on your homestead, it kind of goes from 2 sides. 1, because you're producing stuff from your homestead, it reduces your need to buy stuff at the grocery store, for example. And 2, you have to, I think you have to, everybody I've seen who does it successfully finds their niche item that works for them, that brings in money. And it's either a product they're producing and selling at a premium price, because that kind of care is important. And for homesteaders, it's hard for us to be like, you know what? I'm gonna, like Billy Bond, $80 for bone sauce, right?
Yeah.
Worth every penny. And he puts a lot of time into it, and it's very good at deterring deer, like permanently deterring deer from your garden, right? And he charges a reasonable price for it that feels emotionally, to some people when they first see it, it feels high. But then when you get to know the product, you're like, oh, I see. And this happened to me with garlic. When I started selling elephant garlic, I was going $5 a head, and people were losing their minds. And I was like, do you know how much time I put into making the elephant garlics that big? And like, I'm not replanting that seed, which means the genetics of the big heads, right, are being passed on. And they were like, well, I can get it cheaper at Walmart. And I was like, get it cheaper at Walmart.
Which you probably can't get it cheaper. Well, you might be able to get garlic.
You can get
at
elephant
Walmart.
garlic $1 cheaper than I was selling it for at Walmart. And a lot of people come and buy from homesteads expecting less than grocery store prices because they're like, well, you don't have all the middlemen. I'm like, I also don't have all the subsidies. And I also put a lot more time into this than like mass produced crap. So, so the person ended up begrudgingly buying the garlic. And a week later, I was at the farmer's market, and she came back and said, I want to apologize to you for being kind of rude last week. I tasted this garlic, and it's a completely different experience than what I would get at Walmart. And I said, well, thank you.
Yeah.
And that is how a lot of your homestead things are. Your eggs, your homemade jams and jellies, your salsas, even your vegetables, they taste better. They are fresher in most cases. Like all of that stuff is worth the premium price. And we get like so tricked into wanting to make it accessible for people that we undersell ourselves. And it's time to stop doing that. Like we can trade with each other, like for like, that makes sense. But if you need to put a price on something, look at what you have into it. Like my eggs are $5 a dozen for chicken eggs. And I'm still on the fence about the duck eggs. I've done 8 before. I kind of want to go to 10. I think I'm just going to go to 10 because I'm looking at how much the feed costs and how much time we put in and how many ducks we lose to free ranging them. And it's going to be 10. I just made that decision. And if the market won't bear that, especially for something that's not my primary income earner, I don't care because I have ways to use surplus eggs. And we'll never buy another egg for like years because this year we're going to have like peak egg production. And then next year it'll fall off a little bit because people will get, the ducks will get older and they'll lay less. That happens slowly over time. So like the peak egg laying year for all the ducks right now is this year.
Yeah.
So, and chickens as well. Like we'll have some more chickens come in from these chickens because I don't have enough chickens in the chicken compost system. But it's also not my primary. If it was my primary, I guarantee you I could sell those duck eggs for $10 a dozen and sell out just by putting effort into it. But my effort is Holler Roast. So when you're on a homestead, if you want to monetize it, think about ways you can monetize it that makes sense. And a lot of people start creating content about their homesteads, and that does bring in some money. For me, I will tell you that the majority of my income comes from Holler Roast coffee, period, end of story. And then podcast memberships is second. And then third is getting paid to speak at places. And then fourth is my events, when they make profit, make a little bit of profit. I don't think SRF is making a profit this time, but we'll see. We'll see. And then last on the list, like lowest possible on the list, is any affiliate or advertising income for me. Other people monetize better for advertising and that sort of thing. The reason I don't monetize as high as I could is I don't like annoying ads in the middle of things. So like I have like my ad settings if you go to one of my YouTube videos and it's interrupting you all the time, all that means is I could not turn off the mid rolls when I turned advertising on, and I don't have it on during the live streams because it was interrupting every 3 minutes during a live stream, which completely derails the whole purpose of a live stream. So, so that's part of it. I also don't tailor my content for, like, I'm going to just be upfront and honest with you guys. I'm going to share what's really going on, and I'm not going to not say something because it's going to make advertising harder or make more, like, it'll make people follow me who shouldn't follow me. And I know a number of content creators who have gotten used to their advertising income who do that. They like, I can't say these things because then I'm going to lose monetization. As much as I love interacting with y'all on YouTube, if I lost my YouTube account tomorrow, I'd be bummed for a day, but I'd be like, you know, most of you guys know livingfreeintennessee.com or NicoleSauce.com. Like, you can find me other places. And that would just mean I double down on Odyssey or Rumble or something else. And having that freedom is really important to me. At the same time, like, I know some farmers who make some money selling stuff like duck eggs and whatnot, who make more money from their advertising stuff and their affiliate relationships on YouTube because they've really built a pretty cool YouTube community. And all of those ways of making money are 100% okay. If you're looking to monetize your homestead, figure out which way works for you. And that's fine. I 100% support content creators who are making it on YouTube ads. I think that's awesome. Like, good for you. But that's not my strategy. So anyway, that's the end of Homestead Happenings. I don't see any questions from the live stream. So we're going to wrap up for the day. And we will be back next week with Homestead Happenings, Monday's shows, like all of the stuff that we do. If you like the show and want to support the work I'm doing here, do consider buying your morning cup of joe at hollerroast.com. Also, consider becoming a member. Our member webinar this month is going to be Carrie Brown from Strong Roots Resources doing a wild edible presentation, and that will be the 28th of March. I think it's midday. So we'll get all of that out and in the Monday mail on Monday, so you know how to sign up and all of that. With that, guys, go out, make it a great week. As soon as I find a way to turn the live stream off. This is really funny. So Tactical sitting here seeing what just happened on my screen, guys. Okay. I totally lost the window and like all these other windows started popping up. How'd that look to my OCD friend? He's walking out. Okay, for real this time. Go out, make it a great week.